Let's do it. And we're live.
Indeed we are. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome everybody. People are starting to pour in here. This is great. Zach, don't forget the drop down. And I'm going to get this thing going on Facebook. So here we go. Terrific. So, ladies and gentlemen, I see folks filtering into the Zoom room in mass. This is great. Here we come. They're just sort of rolling in. All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome those of you who are here in the Zoom. And welcome those of you who are on Facebook as well. We're streaming live, and looks like people are starting to find us there too. So welcome to those of you on Facebook. Be very happy to go through and do another tea with Lee today. I am excited to be here. We're getting ready to do, let's see, about an hour, a little over an hour today. We have a little bit of a shorter one today. So we're gonna kind of do our tea practice and then drop into questions and answers a little sooner. So for those of you who are just filing into the Zoom room, please do say hello to everybody. If you haven't already, please change your drop down in the chat room to all panelists and attendees. It currently by default says all panelists, so you have to change it in order to talk to everybody else in the group. We'd love to have you introduce yourself and let everybody know where you're coming in from. So thanks for joining us. I see folks coming in from Oregon and Australia and Florida and Argentina and the UK and Ireland and New Jersey, Minnesota and Morocco, and Ottawa, Canada, and Bonnie Doon. Hey, Steve. Nice to see you. So we're gonna get started here in just another moment or two, let a few more folks filter into the Zoom room. And meanwhile, I'm just gonna say hello to Lee. How you doing, Lee?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Great.
Good to see everybody filtering in. I love it that we have a kind of a worldwide community.
Yeah.
South America, Africa, Europe, and our next door neighbors here, Bonnie Doon. SoCal. Yeah, this is great. I got a little tiny teapot. It works well for just filling it up and pouring tea for one. Yep.
I love me a perfectly fit cup to pot ratio. That's a thing that I geek out on for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm going medium. This is the pot I used last week, and this is the cup. And
well, that's good.
It's kind of a perfect fit.
This one's a meditation too, because as soon as you start pouring, I mean, it takes the liquid to get out of this teapot, you know, a long time because it's a little tiny spout. So it's just you gotta breathe through it, meditate while the chi flows from pot to cup.
Excellent practice.
There's got to be a good metaphor for that.
Yeah, there is. Does that have a strainer in it or no? Is it just a naked?
It has a strainer in it.
Okay, so cool.
For a little pot,
yeah. I've got a couple that have no strainer, and those are a nice Kung Fu
hardcore
as well. Yeah.
That's why you get some tea leaves in your cup that you can do some tea leaf reading.
Yeah, right.
You know, I have a book on tea leaf reading.
Really?
So, you know, it's a system of divination.
Yep.
So I always like doing that because it's really about your perception of what the tea leaves look like in the cup and then what it means.
Yeah. Manuel is drinking some fancy pre-rain Longjing. So that's cool. That's the Dragon Well. I discussed, if you all mentioned Dragon Well last week when we were talking about green tea, and it looks like Emmanuel is one step ahead of me.
Oh, okay.
And he's drinking some, I presume, some nice pre-rain. The Qingming Springtime Festival is before the Qingming Festival. They call it pre-rain Dragon Well, and they get all that, the buds and leaves and the fresh pickings before the real sort of burst of a lot of leaves. So those leaves have a lot of qi in them. And then later after the rains, the plants go nuts and put out a ton of leaves and kind of divide their chi up a little bit, which is pretty great. So I love a fine pre-rain dragon well. But today I'm sticking to my guns on the pu'er these days. This time of day, it's just better for me. So I'm drinking a cake, 7262 cake. One of the things that's kind of cool is that you see there's that label. It's actually stuck in the tea, and they press it into the tea, and so it's sort of partially underneath the tea. And it's kind of one of the ways that they help prevent counterfeiters from easily creating lots of fake cakes and bricks and selling them for lots of money, which they do. There's a ton of counterfeit tea, especially because there was a big pu'er boom a couple decades ago that really drove up the prices of pu'er. 7262 is kind of a weird name for tea. It's called 7262 because of the takeover of the Cultural Revolution in China, when Communist Party took over and basically stopped having private ownership of things, and so all the tea factories became publicly owned, and they kind of created a pattern of naming for these teas that are based on numbers. So the 7262 is traditionally these numbers are like a 1972, the first two numbers. So like 1972 recipe. The 6 is the grade of leaf, how big the leaf is. And the 2 at the end is which factory it comes from. The 2 is the Munghai factory in Yunnan. So 7262 is not a very romantic name, but it's got some history to it.
Nice.
What are you drinking, Lee?
I am drinking in my little pot Trinity, which Trinity meaning there's 3 different tea leaves that comprise the brick. One of my favorites. It's a nice one in the afternoon because it's not too stimulating. I already had a different pot this morning. So as you guys can all see, that Ben and I are pretty geeky on tea. Maybe Ben's a little geekier than I am. I don't know. I think so. As you can tell,
I would
by the way,
agree with that.
playing those numbers. That was well done.
Thanks.
Somebody's asking about mate, which I think mate is a great tea. That's kind of South American green tea. Really, it's a great drink. For me, it's high powered. It gets you really amped up and revved up. And in southern South America, southern Brazil and Argentina, they drink a lot of mate. And I thought it was funny because when you would go into a store, they would often hand you a mate cup and everybody drinks off of one straw. So I bet that's not happening these days. The sharing of straws, it's communal straw in one store with strangers. So I don't know if that was, it's consistent across South America, but I thought that was funny in the particular area that I was in. But mate's got some great health benefit, like most teas. Somebody was asking about the health benefits. It's great. It's a great antioxidant. It's does so many wonderful things for your digestion, energy levels. Pu'er has so many benefits to the digestive system because this tea is fermented. My dog Charlie's agreeing with us.
Pu'er.
I think that's what he said. The pu'er delivery at the door, apparently. So it's great for your, in Chinese medicine, we say that pu'er clears dampness. Dampness seems to settle in. It's a kind of a pathogenic type of qi that can settle into the digestion, cause digestive issues, weight gain, sluggishness, low energy. So by clearing dampness, your qi is going to circulate better. It also will tonify the spleen qi, which is part of the earth element, and create a stronger center, improve your digestion, and clear your mind. So these kind of things, when you look at what something does energetically, we can see additional benefits as well. So green tea is going to be a little bit more cooling. Pu'er is going to be a little bit more warming, but it's not heating like, let's say, like a ginger tea or something like that. But it has some warming principles, and it brings the heat exactly where your body needs it, to your center, and keeps the heat out of the head so that your mind stays clear. So
that's a nice trick.
That is a nice trick.
Somebody's asking about what's the best type of teapot to use. And it's really interesting. There's not one answer, honestly. The tea world is very personal. And so I love when people say it's not my cup of tea. It's because everybody's cup of tea is a little bit different. So there's not really a right answer, honestly. You can use almost anything. You can stick a strainer in a mug and make great tea. So
Yeah, when I was in China studying Qi Gong in the parks, often in the parks they have a tea house. It looks a little bit like an outdoor pavilion, and these tea houses, maybe like a beer garden, but they come by with a big beer mug, and they throw a bunch of green tea leaves on the bottom and just pour hot water on top and give you a thermos. And so, in the beginning steeps, you sip it, and some of the tea leaves get in your mouth, and you spit them back into your glass. And after a while, they settle down and end up at the bottom. And so that's kind of a traditional thing to do. You go practice your Tai Chi and Qigong, and then you go to the tea garden that overlooks the lake and the park and have a big mug of tea.
That's delightful. I love the fact that they're using beer mugs. I have a couple of glasses that I use for that style. Like basically it's just a glass that can handle the heat. And usually I do that with Dragon Well because I also like to eat it when it ends up, I'll just eat it. Like it tastes like spinach or something. It's
like tea and salad combined.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what else is fun? These kind of cups, and this one's a really nice cup because it has a little guy meditating on him.
Nice.
On there. But this cup, because it's clay, if you pour it too high, it makes the whole cup almost unbearable to hold.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to a tea master about this, and he was saying that when the cup gets really hot and you're holding it, you're stimulating the ends of your meridian lines. So you're getting this heat from the ends of the meridian lines into your body by holding and drinking the cup. So we got that going for us too.
Nice. You're going iron fingers tea practice.
See, I'm geeking out in a different way.
Yeah, I have some of those. I also love that. It's one of the reasons I love using a gaiwan, which is the lidded cup, and the pouring of it can be very hot, and after a while you kind of get used to it and able to do it. But really, the reason that these clay teapots are so revered, specifically the Yixing clay teapots, are revered because the clay is known to be the most porous clay anywhere. And because it's porous, what happens is it gets hot and the pores expand, and then the tea gets in there, and then they cool and the pores contract and they trap the tea. And over time, for extended time using that pot, the tea flavor, when you brew tea in it, becomes richer and richer because the pot starts giving you tea without new fresh leaves. So when you add the leaves, so I have certain pots. That's part of the reason why I have so many teapots, is that certain pots are for certain teas because they enhance the flavor of that particular tea by only really kind of being dedicated to that type of tea. So these pots are revered, but they require a little care and feeding, and so it's kind of next level of geekery. For sure, just a ceramic teapot, the kind of pot you get at a kitchen store or something like that, that's got it's decent size, got a little strainer in it. Those are fantastic for doing all sorts of tea. The kind of, again, just strainer in a mug is fine. I would say that, getting into tea ware is absolutely unnecessary step that may or may not afflict you the way it has us.
There's a personal question that just popped up. This is very personal, but I think we can answer it, Ben. How many teapots do you have? Me, and it was addressed to me and you. I'm looking over at my teapot collection. I definitely see over 20. But there's about 20 different kinds. Some of them are definitely just ornate. And then it fluctuates because I usually find a cool teapot and I get it, but then often I'm giving away a teapot as a gift or something like that.
I have too many. I have almost 30 now, and I've given away about 30.
I probably have 5 on my tea shelf from you.
Yeah, maybe. Yep. So I ended up stumbling into a treasure trove of teapots one day that were still priced according to 10 years ago pricing, and I bought 25 teapots that day. And now any of those pots would generally cost, $100 or more, but the most expensive one was $40. And so I spent more money than I had at the time on teapots, and have now given away the vast majority of them and kept about 6 of those for my collection.
Yeah. There's an antique Chinese art dealer that gets teapots here in town, and she gives me over 50% off of teapots. So I tend to get a lot there. And I got a bunch in China where it was a little bit more reasonable. One of my favorite teapots from an artist in China. I think I was showing you guys this one. It has a hole in the top, so you can pour straight in without taking the lid off. And it's always a guessing game how much water before it shoots out the spout. But I think I'm pretty good at it now.
Yeah, unfortunately, I believe April's talking about not coming back from Corona.
What's that? Oh, she is?
Yeah.
Oh, darn.
She's talking about just shutting down.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'll miss that spot too. I love going to Shane's Gallery. But,
yeah.
Tough on those of you who are here and asking some great questions about tea. Thank you so much. We love talking about tea. But also, those of you who want to ask questions of Lee today and so forth, let's go ahead and have you jump into the Q&A button at the bottom and put your questions in there. And then a little while later, we will have a little bit of time for a few folks to raise their hand and get on with Lee face-to-face. So this will be fun.
Yeah,
Lee,
should I jump into some questions, Ben?
Yeah, we could, although I would love it now that I've got my tea brewed to do just kind of a brief little settle in with the tea thing, because I've really been
let's do that. I think, especially it's a daily practice to cultivate the state of mind that tunes you into the kind of energy that you want to be cultivating. And it's just, if you're drinking tea or coffee, to take, 3 seconds to 5 minutes to tune into what you're grateful for and start to put attention on the qualities that you really appreciate. And by doing so, it's cultivating that particular energy in your garden. So one of the best things that we can do, being that we live in a world that has both yin and yang, positive and negative, that where we put our attention, energy goes to. We direct energy by using our attentiveness. And so as we start to put attention on the positive qualities, we start to grow that kind of garden. So let's just bring our teacups close to our heart and just do a little circular motion. And this is a nice Qigong practice where we blend Qi and Ti together. Qi being the invisible life force energy, and Ti being a manifestation of life force energy into physical form. And that's what we want to do. We want to have a seamless flow between form and formless in that positive direction. So just spiral. You can close your eyes, take a few deep breaths. Think about some things that open your heart, elevate your emotions. A couple of things that you appreciate. Just put your attention there so that energy starts to gravitate into that particular frequency. And take a sip. And that sip represents the energy of your mind starting to move down and through your physical structure, the cellular structure of your body. And to that, I say cheers.
Cheers.
Qi ears.
Cheers.
The emphasis on the Qi.
I thought the emphasis was on the ears. It definitely perked up.
It could be. Fun fact, there's 161 acupuncture points in the ears.
Wow.
161. So massaging the ears, you stimulate the whole body because the ears are a microsystem of the whole body. And they're especially used in acupuncture for calming the nervous system. So if you're ever feeling stressed out and need a little calmness, there's a point in your triangular fossa. That's a big word, isn't it? That's a little triangle area on the top of the ear. There's a point there called Shen Men, which means mind calm.
Ah,
So you calm spirit is really what it translates to, but you calm the spirit by pushing into that point. It's at the top of the ears, and you massage that. It's good for sleeping, mind calming, and calming the nervous system, really.
hmm. What was the one for cravings in the ears?
That's that one too.
Oh, it is
It
good.
helps with cravings too. Usually with cravings, you use this point plus 4 or 5 other acupressure points like calm, and then you put maybe another acupuncture point on stomach. So like calm stomach or calm the heart. So yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm definitely enjoying being here and looking forward to jumping into some questions. So do we want to start with Q&A
Yeah.
screen?
I'll look at that. Here we go. I understand Qi activation flows, 5 elements and healing sounds, but I still have problems connecting them to the 12 meridians. Can you go more in depth on meridians and any books to recommend? Books to recommend, Between Heaven and Earth is a great book. Basic Chinese Medicine. In acupuncture school, first semester, you read Between Heaven and Earth, and another book called The Web That Has No Weaver. Now you have 5 elements, and each of those 5 elements have both a yin and a yang organ. So the yin organ is a meridian, and the yang organ is a meridian. So that makes 10. 5 elements, it's broken into 2 yin and yang organs. That makes 10. So you talked about 12 meridians. Well, the heart element has 2 yin organs and 2 yang organs. The 2 yin organ is the heart and the pericardium. And the 2 yang organs would be small intestine that's paired with the heart, and the triple warmer that's paired with the pericardium. And so that makes up your 12 meridian lines. And so, for example, you have heart that would come to your pinky finger and small intestine that goes to the outside of the pinky finger. So we have yin on the inside and yang on the outside. And you do that with each of the paired organs. Yin is on the front and inside of the arms and legs, and yang is on the outside and the back of the body. And that way we have now our 12 meridians that are connected to each element. So
one of the things I always loved from when I studied with you during the teacher trainings was how when you mentioned that the yin and yang meridians are the way that they are because of sort of how most animals and perhaps some ancestor of humans were on all fours. And so everything facing the earth, the yin energy, and the inside of the arms, inside of the body, the belly, and so forth was yin. And then everything facing the sun, that the sun was directly on, was yang. I always found that just to be such a beautiful image.
yeah, that's a fascinating, and it is a state board acupuncture question.
Oh.
Most people get it wrong because it is quite simple. Why is the yin on the front and why is the yang on the back? And most people think that the yang is more protective. So you have the back of the body more protection and the front of the body is more vulnerable, which is true, but it's not the reason why yin and yang was originally started that way in our meridian system. It was what you said, that, animals being on all fours and human beings, the only, mammal that walks upright, when you're, on all fours, your belly facing the earth and your back facing the sun. The sun is yang, the earth is yin, and that's why they described it that way.
Yeah, it's great. I love that image. So The Web That Has No Weaver, that's the book you recommend?
That's a great book, yeah.
So awesome.
And we have Sia. Hello, Lee and everyone. Is there a routine for eyes and vision, or any practice that I can do? So eyes is related, speaking of 5 elements, is related to the wood element, and especially the organ of the liver. Liver 3 is specifically good for the eyes, which is in the webbing between your big toe and your second toe on the top of the foot. You could just Google where is liver 3 and massage that point, and that's great for the eyes. And then in our Qigong set, we have 5 element energy flow. Doing the liver practice or liver healing sounds is great for the eyes. So each of the 5 elements, if we continue, each element goes with a sense organ as well. So the eyes is related to the wood element and the liver. And Brenda, I often suffer from pains around my eye sockets after being out in the cold. At this time, it's after being out in the cold this time of year, could you suggest a remedy, a protection for that? Well, good. We just basically did work on the liver element, work on the wood elements, the liver organ, doing some flows. You know, one that I really like is when we turn, the tree sways in the wind. When you come up, often we do it to the top of the head. For eye issues, you bring the energy up and go right by the eyes when you come back to the center, and then clear and come down. The other thing that I recommend is after doing any Qigong, often you have a lot of energy in your hands, just cup them over your eyes and send the energy to the eyes. Eyes are quite sensitive. And when you cup the energy, you go about a half an inch away. So you're not actually touching, and you just feel the energy of your hands going into the eyes. And it feels really nice. It's also good if you've been doing a lot of work on the computer and you can't really take a break because your work schedule. So you just send the energy and it refreshes the eyes.
Yeah, I found that to be very helpful.
And Alan, can you talk about the relationship between Tai Chi and Qigong? Excellent. It's a common question that shows up. The Qigong is older than Tai Chi practice. Tai Chi originated some 800 years ago. Most famous story and practitioners of Tai Chi was the Chen family. Chen family started in what is known as Tai Chi today in China. There's now 5 styles. Different families have their own version. And, but Qigong goes back, 4,000 or 5,000 years. So they say that Qigong is the mother of Tai Chi, gave birth to Tai Chi. The principles are the same: flow, moving from the center, relaxation, moving your body like water. Tai Chi is a little more complex because you're doing movements, the Qigong movements, into a form, and this form has martial application. So when we look at Qigong having 3 branches of its practice, martial, medical, and spiritual, Tai Chi is a branch of Qigong practice that's martial oriented. Every movement in the Tai Chi form has martial application. So I usually recommend start with Qigong. Then if you'd like to do something more complex, more martial in nature, then move into Tai Chi practice.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent question. Let's see. How can I fit regular Qigong into a busy business type lifestyle? Nice question, Rosie. Well, we have so many programs, and this is what I feel like our expertise is at, is how to create this ancient practice, make it relevant for modern life. We have a 30-day challenge, and that was specifically created for busy people. It's 7 minutes, 7-minute workouts. And those 7-minute workouts get delivered to you each day for 30 days. And then you have access to them so you can repeat the ones that feel relevant on any given day. So that's what I would recommend. And then you just create little chi breaks, take exercises that you like and integrate it into your day. You've been working on the computer 2 or 3 hours, stand up, knock on the door of life, pull down the heavens. Takes about 5 minutes, go back to work. Do integrate. And then a couple of times a week, as often as you can, get in your 20 minutes or an hour practice to really boost up your energy. And that's how I like to integrate. And Cheryl asks, I've had scoliosis since childhood. What is Chinese medicine's perspective of scoliosis? What would you recommend? It's in my lumbar spine and my right leg slightly lower and rotated inward. Thanks, Cheryl. I think what I would recommend is some of the Daoyin exercises. Daoyin is an older style of Qigong practice that looks a lot like yoga. It's kind of where yoga and Qigong kind of cross. And it's an old style of Qigong where a lot of it's done on the floor. It works tremendously well on your core, your psoas muscle, which is a muscle in the abdomen that connects to your lumbar spine. In our programs, we have the lower back workshop, and that goes into a lot of the Daoyin. And as we talked about in our last session, I think Ben made that promise that before the end of the year, our Daoyin robust course will come out, and you'll get access to that. But for now, try that low back workshop that we have on our website, and that'll be great for scoliosis and helping you with your lumbar issues.
Yeah, that's a great workshop and dives into the parts that really helped me. I tore my L5S1 long ago, and so I have to manage it. And the stuff that we did during that low back workshop is kind of the core pieces of the Dalian routines that I've found the most helpful personally. One thing I'll say about the 30-day challenge too that I forgot to mention when you were talking about it is people basically, once you have it and have gone through the 30 days, you now have access to it forever. And so even I'll still do routines from the 30-day challenge quite frequently because I've got 7 minutes before my next thing or 10 minutes to squeeze something in. So you can always go back to it. What's great about that is having the 7-minute arsenal of 30 different things. You can just kind of pick a number at random or roll a couple dice and be like, all right, I'm doing 14 right now, and get it done in 10 minutes in and out. So it really has paid off for me personally, and it's part of the reason we made it that way, because I'm also busy living a business type life. Jenna is asking about her teapot. That's actually pretty cool. It's not really a question, but I do want to address it. So Jenna says, not a question, but a realization that what I thought was a small ornamental teapot is actually one that my mother brought back from Japan many years ago and is for tea ceremony. And she has a whole new appreciation for it. That's really cool. The Japanese, the Zen style tea ceremony is really beautiful and fascinating, and is very regimented and very rigid, and kind of has very specific rules and where exactly the utensils go and how everything lines up perfectly. What I love about that is just the beauty and the pageantry and the presence that it cultivates. And then this style that we do here, and that I've got going on my little tea table over here, is much more relaxed and flowy, and just kind of see which way the water flows down the statue today. And it's a more of a Taoist and Chinese flavor as opposed to a Zen and Japanese flavor. So it's kind of neat. I love them both for different reasons. And one day I would like to really kind of master the Cha Doyo, which is the full Japanese tea ceremony, but I haven't personally done that. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Excellent, excellent. Let's see. Rika, a question to Lee. Are you offering a course through the Shift Network? I'd like to know if it's for beginners or higher level. Would you recommend for somebody who has been practicing for a year and currently taking a deepening practice course with another teacher? I think it is. It's a great course. I haven't filmed it yet, but I'm planning to do it. We're starting to film really soon, and it's going to be designed for beginners and more advanced practitioners alike. We're gonna start off at a particular level, and people in the Shift Network are often very familiar with Qigong because of the Quantum Qi movie that's hopefully going to come out soon, that many Qigong teachers around the country were in. And now there's quite a big request that teachers start to teach more Qigong classes. There's already been a few Qigong teachers, so they asked me to do it more of an intermediate, beginner to intermediate style. And that's kind of what we're going to focus in on. So if you've been practicing for a year, I think it's going to be a perfect course for you to dive into. It's going to be fun, a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a good topic to bring up, because I know there's confusion when we do these things. People are asking, how do I get the Shift Network course in my Holden Qigong Media Library, and so on. So we have a lot of questions about that.
Right.
Just to kind of address it, basically, Lee's participation with the Shift Network and with that group of all these other Qigong masters who've been part of the summit. So Lee joined the summit. There's been 2, I think, through the Shift Network so far. Mm-hmm. And those summits have just been great for helping to spread the awareness of Qigong and give people a sampling of different teachers' styles and see, who they like and what they resonate with. So when we do these courses on other things and we promote Lee's activities that are happening elsewhere, we don't really have any access or control to do anything like put it in your media library. Unfortunately, it'd be kind of cool if we did, but it really is a separate thing. And we're pretty circumspect about which of those we participate in. This Shift Network has just done so much to advance the awareness of Qigong in the US by bringing together all these teachers and by putting a lot of their efforts and publicity and marketing out there to really grow awareness of Qigong. So we felt like it made a lot of sense to participate with them, and we like where they're coming from as a company.
Yeah.
their values align very nicely with ours. So
Yeah. And if you're really interested more in like an intermediate kind of course, I would recommend our Iron Shirt class that we just did, where we really take Qigong practice to a deeper level. It's definitely an intermediate practice. There's a lot of standing postures. It builds a lot of power in the body. So I love how that came out, and that whole cohesiveness of, Iron Shirt 1, 2, and 3, and just addressing and really packing Qi into your system in a really powerful way. So that's a great course that we just finished, and that's up online, right, on our website, huh, Ben?
absolutely. Yep.
Okay. That's great. All right, let's see. Regina, what are the best exercises for digestion? That's good for when everybody's at home, right? We tend to eat more when we're not out and about. So digestion, I do have the ones you showed us in a live class, and could do more of the 10-minute videos. They are great. I do Qigong throughout the day while I'm working at home. Thank you. Qigong for digestion. So we have exercises. Basically, we want to bring the Qi into the belly. Digestion is ruled by the earth element, since we were talking about the elements earlier. And we want to tonify the spleen. So drinking tea is excellent for digestion. So we're off to a good start. Exercises in Qigong practice that work on deep abdominal breathing. Anything that's going to help you just, like this. I just did this in the subscription class where we're working on energy in the belly. And then we have Qigong for healthy digestion, that workshop. We tended to do last year a bunch of condition-specific 3-hour workshops for just this purpose, so we could dive in, so we could, more than just an hour workout that I used to like to do, or just go out in nature and film a beautiful program. Qigong for healthy digestion. I wanted to also, because there's so much to the topic, take a time to have a 3-hour workshop so we can talk about the energetics, the meditations, the Qigong, and have a variety of different ways to address a particular topic. So I would recommend the Qigong for a healthy digestion workshop, and then deep abdominal breathing, knocking on the belly, and then doing a spleen tonifying exercise like Pebble in the Pond, where you're flowing and bringing energy into your belly center.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Somebody's asking about specific exercises that help with high altitude sickness. I've heard some doctors describe extreme COVID cases looking more like high altitude sickness, which is interesting, right? Because both address, often the lungs, we're not getting enough oxygen. And so the breathing practices are, going to be great for that. Anything that's going to tonify the respiratory system to make you a more efficient breather. Specifically the lung points that we did, the things that we did in the immunity kit, the better breathing program. Speaking of those workshops, we did a better breathing workshop series too. So that would be a great thing to do for a deeper dive into this topic. So open up all the points on your chest, massage, and then exercises that open the chest, like when you open an inhale and do a little breath pause and exhale and a little breath pause. So when you do breath holds, it is like healthy weightlifting for your respiratory system. So little, not necessarily short, 5-10 seconds in the beginning, working your way up to 20 to 30 seconds later. And then practice only breathing in and out through your nose during the day. And people get great benefit by taping their mouth. There's actually specific tape that you can put on your mouth, and you can use that for 20 minutes during the day, just repattern that you're not breathing in and out through the mouth. And you could even tape your mouth while you're sleeping so that you're really making the oxygen move through the nose, which is filtering and strengthening your respiration and your respiratory system.
God, that's fascinating. I didn't know about the COVID-19 and the symptoms of altitude sickness, or basically it's lack of oxygen, I suppose. So is it I'm very curious about that. Is it how the virus makes it difficult for the lungs to transmit oxygen through into the bloodstream, I presume? Yeah. Fascinating. I think
there's inflammation that creates, some sort of reaction in the lungs that make them constrict and not be able to absorb the oxygen and deliver it into the bloodstream. So we want that flexible, strong
Yeah.
respiratory system, as well as a very strong immune system. And that seems to be very helpful because, you know, when we're talking about Qi, we're talking about energy. And now we're translating energy into physiology. And so that's always an interesting jump because they're two different paradigms. So when we're talking about energy medicine and physiological medicine, we're really speaking two different languages that have a lot of crossover. So when we build our energy system, it has tremendous benefits to our physiological systems. How this works, we don't necessarily know because it's the great mystery of our mind-body system. You know, most of the things in our bodies we don't fully understand, whether it's how respiration works on its deepest levels, how the heartbeat works, things like this. It's always important to remember that your body and your energy system is a great mystery, and that we, by doing the things that are most natural to your body and most in alignment with nature, we create the strongest effect and the strongest healing power that's available within ourselves. Nancy has a question, comments about appreciation and gratitude. You know, she was saying that she has a gratitude list at the end of the day. You know, she feels like there's a higher vibration. Appreciation has a higher vibration than gratitude. It's interesting. I think when we start to compare emotional energy, remember emotions are energy in motion, and that appreciation and gratitude are two frequencies of emotional energies. And it's more personal. What term do you really appreciate or are grateful for? What resonates more with you? Is it appreciation? Is it gratitude? Because both can have a really positive effect on our overall energy system. And to you, what is the difference between appreciation and gratitude? How you represent that to yourself will make the difference in terms of what you appreciate and are grateful for more. So emotions, it's kind of like, what's better, love or peace? And it depends on where you are at a particular time in your life and what you're going to tune into and what you need more at this particular time. So tune in with yourself. What sounds better to you? Do you want to tune into what you appreciate or what you're grateful for? And either one has a great vibration to maybe what you need. It's like the right energetic medicine for you at a particular time.
Yeah, and I find also sometimes with like the statement that appreciation has a higher vibration than gratitude, sometimes we read or hear things like that, and it may not be true for you because each of us, words aren't universal really. They're conceptual, like they land in your own psyche as a certain concept or a certain way of interpreting it. And so that thing that you mean internally when you say appreciation may not have a higher vibration than gratitude, but the person who wrote that article or whatever, for them, it may be the other way around. So I find some of these things, thinking in absolutes doesn't always apply necessarily. So for me personally, appreciation and gratitude kind of settle into about the same frequency. I tend to think of appreciation as the expression of gratitude, or the outward, you know, the connecting that up to the outside world, whereas I tend to think of gratitude as more internal.
That's a nice way of looking at it. Yeah. It's a particular frequency. It's two ends of the same spectrum, really, that way. And remember that our words are symbolic of energy. So when you say appreciation or gratitude, it's symbolic of and represents a particular energy and sensation. And being that it's symbolic, it's never exactly what it is. That's why it's perceptual. How do you perceive that word, gratitude? The symbol of these particular letters strung together means something for you. And for somebody else, they're going to mean something different. In the same way, when I say, think of something you're grateful for, we're all going to think of something very particular to ourselves. And so that's what creates the emotional energy. Where you put your attention, the energy goes. So if we put our attention on what we appreciate or gratitude, more energy starts to gravitate towards that frequency, which is an elevated emotion. And that's what we want to do. We want to get into an elevated emotional state. Gratitude and appreciation can get us there very quickly. You could also say, hey, think about and put your attention on something that you're excited about. Excitement, what you're passionate about, what is inspiring to you. You could think about somebody you love, whether it's your children, your spouse, your romantic partner, a parent, whatever, and those are going to elevate emotions too. So whatever works for you, pick that. The key is to elevate the energy of the heart so that those kinds of elevated emotional energy stay with you and stay with you longer, and we have access to those frequencies. Because when your heart energy elevates, you get out of stress, and that's the key to this practice. Elevating above survival mode, because when you're in survival mode, we're not in the frequency of love, joy, peace, happiness. We're in the energy field of worry, stress, anxiety. And what we want to do very quickly is to put our attention onto an elevated emotional state that we've all experienced, hold it there, sustain it so that that energy helps us to rise above stress and anxiety and worries, so that we start to feel a sense of joy about our daily life and our Qi.
I love that. And I think, God, these topics are really great for contemplation.
Yeah.
Like because part of like discovering the nature of your own mind is discovering your own interpretation of things and how much of that is tied into your sense of identity. So for me, some of these particular concepts have been really useful to kind of go internal with and just sort of feel, what their vibration is for me and how that's different.
It's a great meditation, and the comment is thought-provoking and brings us in. I might recommend and suggest that emotions are useful to keep you engaged with the present moment. As soon as our emotions start to wander in a negative direction away from the present moment, that's when we're starting to bring future thinking into our present moment that is going to be suppressive. And that's what we want to try to avoid, we want to bring elevated energy into our present moments, because that feels better. Not only does it feel better, it's good for your immune system. It helps your Qi circulate. There's just a cascade of positive things when we're in an elevated emotional state that are beneficial to you. And there's lots of research on self-compassion, gratitude, appreciation on the effects of the immune system, which I find fascinating. I did a conference at Esalen, and I was the only non-researcher. So there was neuroscientists and doctors and all kinds of research on this topic that I found very fascinating and makes a lot of sense in a Chinese medicine perspective.
Very interesting.
All right.
Hey, I have one for us about the upcoming 5-day Qi challenge next week. Got a couple of those actually. So probably a good time to talk about that.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Nancy's asking about the 5-day Qi challenge starting Monday. Will it be like the 30-day challenge? No, it's not going to be like the 30-day challenge. The 30-day challenge is 7 minutes a day, and the Qi challenge is 20 minutes a day. And where we film this is part of my live subscription class. And so you get to really come to class live. I'm speaking directly to an audience and the camera, where in the 30-day challenge, the 7 minutes were done outside and I'm doing a voiceover. And they're both great. I would say the Qi challenge is wonderful because it's going to help you to create and craft new routines each and every day. And you're going to have a choice between 20 minutes and an hour. And it also comes with a meditation. So you can sign in to the challenge. You're definitely going to get your 20 minutes in your email, but then you can sign in and get an hour version of that same practice with a meditation. And we're hoping that you like it so much that you become part of the subscription and join this community of people that are tuning in live each and every week, where I get to teach and we talk about relevant issues. And it's more like what we're doing right now. We do some Q&A with it. We talk about what's going on, whether it's seasonal, whether it's environmental, whether it's a holiday, things like that. So it's a little bit more personal than the 30-day challenge.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. Also, as he sort of alluded to, during the 5 days, each day, you get a specific 20-minute video to do that day, and you're steered towards that. And then if you want to participate in the Facebook group, you don't have to in order to participate in the challenge. But if you want to participate in the Facebook group, then you're welcome to comment on that day's post, and we do give some prizes. We do some drawings for each day, and a big prize at the end for anybody who commented on all 5 days. So that's part of the challenge, is to get you to, get your Qi on every day so that you have an opportunity to win the prizes. And even without the winning of the prizes, the prize is doing 20 minutes of Qigong that day for sure. But we host it inside the subscription. So if you're not a subscriber, as part of doing the Qi challenge, you get 2 weeks of access to the full subscription. And that's what Lee means when he says, yeah, you do your 20 minutes for that day, but you can go off and find the full hour-long classes from that day, some of the other bonus classes that are part of the subscription. That's all available to you, not only during the 5 days, but for almost 2 weeks total, so that you have a chance to, if you've built some habit and you're really loving the practice after 5 days, continue on for a little while longer on the subscription, and ultimately decide if you want to be part of our community long-term. So I'm very excited about it. It's so much fun to see all of these people really just getting so much value out of it every time that we do it. We've done it 3 times now. So we're 3rd time's a charm, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is great. If you are already a subscriber, you still want to sign up for the challenge to participate in the drawings and just the community, and make sure you're in the Facebook group where you can potentially win a prize, but it'll be delivered through the existing subscription, your existing login and all that. So it'll be easy to get to for those of you who are subscribers.
Excellent.
Yeah, Zach put a link in the chat as well.
Great.
But
somebody has a technical cloudy hands question. They learned it to face, which way does the hand face? Does it face towards you like this across the chest, or away from you? And sometimes when you turn the hand away from you, that's going to be a more martial way of doing, because it's more of a block. So you turn the hand as a way to block, and it's just a stylistic way. So I like to do it this way as a way to send energy to the heart. I'm using it as a heart tonifying exercise, so the palm faces towards the heart. And when you want to ward energy off, let's say somebody's punching and you want to direct the energy away from you with a block, then you turn the palm away from you. And that might be, so different intentions. What's my intention for doing a movement might have small shifts in where the energy is going to be directed. But neither one is right or wrong. It's just kind of what feels best for you. And if you were thinking about, what do I want to ward off in my life right now, maybe that particular kind of energy, you might turn the palm away from you. And what do I want to cultivate in? You might turn the palm towards you as a way to bring energy in. And those subtle things work in alignment with intention, and they help to cultivate a particular kind of energy.
Great question. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Those differences across the different techniques. I love, hearing about those and discovering those. It's half the fun, right? One question that I wanted to just sort of steer your attention to. So Lori Ross says, yes, take the Iron Shirt class. I've taken Qigong classes for about 2 years. Started Qigong after being diagnosed with breast cancer. Couldn't believe how much it helped my mental state. Learned so much out of the Iron Shirt class. But then she said, speaking of the Iron Shirt class, I did the turtle the other day and my whole head started buzzing. And I wondered what that was.
Yeah.
I've had that experience too. That's why I wanted to call your attention.
The turtle is great for giving you a head buzz for sure, because it's generating a lot of heat in your body. So I call the turtle sometimes afterwards like steam cleaning your meridians. So you just get this flushing of energy. And when you generate heat, what does heat do? It rises. So you're going to feel it a lot in your head and towards the surface of your body. And that's why I often will do pulling down the heavens afterwards. So you steam clean, you get this energy in the head, and then we bring it back down to the center afterwards as a way to store the energy and kind of clear the mind. There's a lot of benefits from the turtle by igniting the fire and the heat in the body to improve circulation. It increases metabolic fire, so it's great for digestion. the position itself is really tonifying for your kidneys. And so just don't do too much too fast. You know, you can do a little bit of turtle each and every day, 30 seconds to a minute, build your way up into longer sessions, and yeah, just enjoy.
Cool. Well, Zach's got a few from the Facebook contingent, and then I think we'll have time for maybe 2 or 3 folks to jump on camera and say hello. So Zach, take it away.
Sounds good. Yeah, we have a couple questions coming in from Facebook. The first is from Farinush, and I'm sorry if I just pronounced your name wrong. Is there a minimum amount of time to practice Qigong every day?
Not really. No minimums. I think depending on what your goals are. So that's a good idea. Like, hey, what's my goal? Do I just want to do a little clearing, just get my body moving, or am I trying to heal a particular ailment within myself? Am I trying to become a Qigong master? And those different goals will have different time frames. So if you're just using it to, you know, clear some stress from your workday and get your body moving, you can do, you know, if you did 7 minutes a day, that's going to be much better than not doing anything. If your goal is to be a Qigong teacher or to be, you know, at one with the universe, you might want to spend 2 or 3 hours a day doing Qigong. And those intentions have been met with different kinds of practices. You know, back in the day, some of the intentions were to build power and strength in the body for martial arts purposes. And that's where Tai Chi came into play and Tai Chi exercises. So let's think about what it is, what your goal is, and what's the most efficient way to get you there. What's the most efficient routine and practice that gets you to your goal? And that goal might be stress clearing and more energy. Then a couple of, you know, 2 or 3 7 minutes through the day can really help with that. And maybe once, you know, often what I like to recommend for baseline practice is, you know, once a week you do a full hour practice, twice or 3 times a week you do 20 minutes, and all 7 days of the week you do at least a couple sessions of 7 minutes.
Yeah, that's a great answer. We have another question coming from Karen. So can glute muscles get tight? If so, what recommendations do you have?
Glute muscles often get tight because they're the biggest muscle in the body. Plus they get weak from sitting too long. And so what I often recommend, what meridian line goes through this is the gallbladder. So we're going to do exercises and stretches that really work on the gallbladder meridian, the glutes, and the lower back. So the lower back workshop is fantastic. There's a Daoyin movement called Peacock Looks at the Tail. And I find this so beneficial for the glutes. And it's kind of a moving lumbar exercise that stretches the glutes. And so that low back workshop, if you're really interested and want to dive into that, would be a fantastic practice.
Yeah, and we have another question from Susie. I find energy levels are struggling through menopause. Do you have any particular exercises for improving energy throughout the day?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a workshop that I'd love to teach because there's so many great exercises for menopausal symptoms. Now in Chinese medicine, menopause is called yin deficiency. And so we have homeostasis, yin and yang are in balance. And if your yin goes down, it looks like the yang is too much, but really it's just yin has come down. So it feels within the body and the signs are too much heat, hot flashes, can't sleep, emotional imbalances. And these are all signs in Chinese medicine that there's excess yang. But what happens if we boost up the yin? Now yin and yang are back into balance. So slow flowing movements boost up the yin. And sometimes we boost it up a little bit, but yang is still excessive. So then we want to do some clearing. So healing sounds clear heat. And so if you do flowing movements in the morning and healing sounds at night, you start to reach that homeostasis.
Yeah, and now we have some non-Qigong related tea questions from the Facebook group. We have a question from Linda. Do you ever drink iced tea? And are any iced teas better than another?
I often drink iced tea.
All about sweet tea if you're in the South. I'll tell you what. Iced tea that's only like 20% tea and 80% sugar is definitely the healthiest tea out there.
Yeah.
Okay, no. But people love it.
I was like, really?
Yeah. You didn't know?
I didn't know, man. Gosh.
Yeah.
New
You
research.
drink sugar all day as long as there's a little tea in there.
Yeah. You know what I like to do really is just get black tea, cool black tea, and then squeeze some lemon in it without any sugar, and then it's good. Yeah, tea is healthy. I mean, as long as it's organic, that's always the best. But drinking a little black tea, I often will order, black tea unsweetened, and then just squeeze lemon in it when I'm at a restaurant, and that's a delicious treat.
Yeah, and we have a question from Gretchen. Can you recommend any pu'er teas? As someone that's new to tea, and how do you prepare it? Is there a book about drinking this kind of tea as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's fascinating about pu'er, one thing that's fascinating about pu'er is how much misinformation there was up until the internet. David down at the tea house has got quite a collection of tea books, all of which up to say 2000 in English are wrong about pu'er. Everything they say is just, whatever they say is just kind of off somehow or slightly wrong. There really isn't a lot in the way of tea literature that's specifically about pu'er, although most of the big tea books that go into a variety of types will cover pu'er. And nowadays, thanks to the internet, they've pretty much got their story straight. But strongly recommend, if you're in the US and you're looking for pu'er tea, the teas that we drink, including the Trinity that Lee mentioned, the 7262 I'm drinking, and the unblended brick, which is kind of a favorite, is here in Santa Cruz. There's a tea house called Hidden Peak Tea House, and their sourcing is remarkable. It's a fascinating story. Maybe one of these featured teas with Lee, I'll tell the story of how David came to have access to the quality of tea that he has access to. But I've sought out great pu'er every time I travel. I go to various tea houses and so forth, and just the difference in quality is pronounced, mostly the energetic qualities. As a beginner, it seems a little daunting because you're looking at, $60, $100, $150 for a brick of tea. But in reality, the amount that you put into your teapot or into your strainer, if you're just using a strainer and a mug on a daily basis, can be out of that $120 brick can be $3, not a big deal. So if you're looking for that, what's great about it is, of course, you get to drink it all day long and steep it over and over and over and over again, dozens of times. So compared to, I always like to say, compared to most people's latte habit, it's cost effective, even though it's a little more upfront money to buy the brick and have it at home. But just start with a brick and a strainer and a table knife to kind of break the thing apart. Break off some leaves, break off 7-10 grams, something like that, put it in a strainer, and you're off to the races. It doesn't have to be ornate and involved the way that this stuff is. That's pretty much what I got. What do you got, Lee?
No, that sounds great. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Ben's definitely our in-house pu'er expert.
Yeah, he is.
Sure, yeah.
But we have one more question from Facebook from Meridians. I used to love green tea, but my body has become so sensitive to caffeine. Are there any other suggestions that you have for teas that are low in caffeine or don't have any at all?
Yeah, pu'er. Specifically at the Hidden Peak Tea House, I think if you order Trinity, I think it's much more calming than a lot of the tea. So try Trinity. It's one of my favorites, what I'm drinking right now. And you can get that ordered online at hiddenpeakteahouse.com.
Yep. It's a very balanced tea when it comes to pu'er tea. It does have caffeine, but what's amazing about pu'er is that they've identified about 120 different psychoactive compounds so far, of which caffeine is one. And most of these pu'ers have like 20 stimulating compounds and then about 100 mostly relaxing compounds. So the caffeine ends up being quite balanced. It's possible, I would start with a sample or a small order, because it's possible that you're so caffeine sensitive that you'll still have a reaction. But if you're able to drink Trinity comfortably, then that is a very rich, very healthy, great tea, especially for digestion. And I'll start that tea at 11 o'clock at night and go to bed, an hour later, and be fine. Mm-hmm. But everybody's a little bit different. So,
yeah.
I
So
think it's
jump
time
into the
to,
Q&A? Oh, we're gonna do some live, huh?
yeah, we're
Live.
just gonna have a couple of folks,
Cool.
time for a couple of folks. I know, Lee, you need to get going in a little less than about 10 minutes.
Yep, I'm trying to
So,
answer and type in some answers to the Q&A too, but
well,
if you
that's
don't
sweet.
get to your answer today, we'll do it again.
Yeah. Joyce Miller has got her hand raised, and she is a friend of ours who's we've known for a long time. She's currently living in Vancouver, but she's not from there. So she landed in Vancouver right at the start of this whole thing and has been participating with us in the live classes and so forth. So Joyce, I think we can hear you.
Great. I got a sign. I might start my video. Oh, okay. I'll do my video.
Yay.
Okay.
Yay. There's Joyce. Hey.
I have a slight question, but I'm here to discuss Iron Shirt.
Good.
On Monday, I got a new letter from my old alma mater, McGill Law School, that starting September, they're not having classes. Everything's online. The whole university is shutting down. The campus is shutting down. And I had this deep state of despair come over me when I think that, oh my God, forever, you know, this pandemic, how am I going to manage it? And I had your bonus class on Iron Shirt, where in the chat page I refer to you as a genius. And there's a reason for that. And then on Tuesday morning, I did week 2 of the practice, you know, and when I finished it, I said, I have to appear on T today and tell everyone about Iron Shirt.
Oh, good. Wonderful.
I do not think you planned it for the pandemic. You planned it before, right?
Yeah.
This is the pitch perfect practice for the pandemic. And I'm here to recommend it very strongly for the following reasons. So I did week 2, I did your bonus class. And in week 2, we're doing, which one is that? The one with the
Iron Shirt too. Yeah, tendon exercises.
So this is what's so fantastic about it. You feel power and strength in your body. You're learning things of great depth, much deeper than what we do on our classes, which I love, you know, it's challenging, and yet there's a sense of satisfaction when you meet the challenge. But at the end, this is what I felt: physically strong, emotionally balanced, with a ton of energy.
Fantastic.
Who
Who doesn't want that?
What?
Who doesn't want that?
I know, I've done all your workshops, right? I love all your teachings. I've been there, I've done it, you know?
Yeah.
One is pitch perfect for the pandemic. If people want
it was actually really good timing. So thanks for recognizing that. It's all about protection and protective energy and strength and power from within.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, and I really am going to urge people who haven't done it or don't, I think, to do it. And I think you should promote it a bit more for that reason, because this is going to go on forever. And there's so much conspiracy theories out there, and people are getting despaired and getting up and blah, blah, blah. Centering, balancing, strength, power. I love some of the movements, you know?
Yeah, great.
And
thanks, Joyce.
Practicing it though, you know?
Yeah.
So I wanted to say that, and it doesn't matter your age, because you know I'm senior, right? So I don't think you have, you know, some people worry about being in their 70s doing it. No.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, can someone do it who's never done Qigong before?
You can. Yeah, it's a little bit more advanced because you have to hold those postures more. So I would recommend, I was just talking with Chen today, somebody on staff with us, about that. And I would recommend doing something beginner oriented along with it, like our subscription, and then do that as a more advanced practice. I mean, often people have jumped into an Iron Shirt practice as a beginner and it's just fine, but you know, it is more advanced, intermediate. And if you go about it the right way, you get results like you're talking about.
Well,
so my concern would be that it can be off-putting, because if you're not feeling the chi that's being built up, and if you're not sensitive like you are after all your practice, Joyce, then it feels like, okay, what am I doing this stuff for? Whereas with Lee's more beginner-oriented practices, you feel it right away and you can start to build up that sensitivity so that then when you arrive at Iron Shirt, you feel what's happening like you do and you have this profound experience.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to point out is the way you teach, because I subscribe to a Yi Ji Jing, was also speech strengthening, but the QiGong master, I had to just quit it, because your instructions are so clear and easy, a positive tone of you can do, and you layer. And I think that's very important for people to realize and know. Am I enthused?
You are. I love it.
No, but it's very.
We didn't even pay you to get out here and talk to us.
It sure sounds like we did, though.
I said I was going to come on this because this pandemic is going on, and psychologically and physically, it is wearing people down. I was in despair when I realized that the universities are closing down in September ahead of time. There's the 3 major universities in Montreal are doing that, and in Quebec City. So I'm
honestly, I really can't thank you enough for your cheerleading. And I know you've been a great proponent of ours for years and shared this work with so many people. And I got to say, we're immensely grateful to you. And every time we see you in class, and we see you in almost every class.
Yeah, maybe not tomorrow, I'm working, but.
Oh, no.
I'm doing, I might, it's different timing that I may not be.
We'll catch you Friday. Okay.
But I think it's important to say that I've been with other teachers. I've tried out a lot of other things. So it's not, I don't know anything else, I do. And I'm beside myself. Yesterday, I couldn't wait for today to say that people should look at it. And I might even say it Friday again, because it's a lifesaver.
Thank you so much.
So
sweet.
Thank you so much, Lee.
You're welcome, Joyce.
Pardon?
You're welcome.
Yeah, the mental balancing was very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Lee, I know you have to get going in just a sec, so
yeah.
I'm gonna. Oh, it's totally fine, Joyce. Nobody else raised their hand. It was meant to be.
Good.
Appreciate your input, and I'm sure others also appreciate it. I've seen a lot of agreement and appreciation in the chat room. So
yeah,
people who are already doing it see it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Savers. You should call the pandemic.
Pandemic shirt. No, wait, that sounds awful.
No, but it's going. I'm sorry to say this again. Not good if schools are planning to close down in September.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Not healthy things. People are, isolated. Anyways, thank you.
Thanks, Grace.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow or Friday.
I'm a mediator. I may be working tomorrow at that time. So.
Oops. Lee, you have any final words, final thoughts, or a little extra something to send us?
Yeah, I think thanks everybody for your questions and insights. It's yet another great conversation that we've been having together over tea. Some people are asking about when, they want more movements in these sessions. So really we get to movements. We do a Q&A and movement practice in the subscription almost every time. Actually, every time we have been. The answer, 3 questions, and then we do an hour of practice at least. And so that's where going to be our movement focus and our Qi focus. These sessions really are talking, conversations over tea really. And we do some energy work with our minds, and we do, having a conversation is QiGong. And, when you are speaking and talking and communicating, whether it's the dialogue in your own head or with each other or with a person, it's vibration in these vocal cords, vibrating an eardrum that then translated into a brain and then made meaning through the whole system. So that is a magical, mysterious process. And so when you are speaking inside your own head, have those thoughts and words, have that conversation be elevated and start to tell yourself positive things because we're not trained to do that. And by having a positive internal dialogue, we create positive energy in our bodies. And then that gets expressed in our conversation and in our words. And it's a great start to, creating a shift in consciousness, starting right here.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Lee. Thanks everybody for joining us. It's been another wonderful Tea with Lee, and as Lee says, such a great conversation. I love getting together with all of these like-minded people from around the world who share our beliefs and philosophy about taking care of your own health, and your mental health, and your wellness by getting in touch with your own life force energy. So thanks for being part of our community, everybody. And we'll see you all on the next one. Bye, everybody.